Welcome to my world, bitch.
Never grow old, Michael.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. Showtime.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan from Sinister Scripts podcast.
This is David. Today we're going to go into Malignant.
Malignant, this is a film, 2021 film. Looks like a budget of $40 million.
Ooh, that's some money right there.
Directed, story, and produced by James Wan. So
Yes.
that name should not sound foreign to any of you horror lovers. James has got films like The Conjuring,
Saw.
Aquaman,
With
Insidious,
Annabelle, Insidious.
Dead Silence.
All sorts of shit.
He's got some horror cred.
Yeah, he's got some street cred to the horror game.
Especially Saw, like that was a game changer.
Yes, it was.
We'll talk more about that one another time. But yeah, so this one was kind of not really on my radar at all.
No, I think we just randomly picked it the other night.
Yeah, we were like, man, we need one more movie to watch. And I was like, fuck it, what's this one? Malignant. We looked it up. And I was like, all right, like 6 out of 7 out of 10 on IMDb. Let's give it a whirl.
Yeah, let's give it a whirl.
But I was pleasantly surprised, I'll say.
Yeah, to say the least.
This movie, I don't know if I had to like explain it. It's like this is a high octane like thrill ride where every time I thought I knew like where it was going,
You were wrong.
yeah, it fucking 180'd, just flipped this on its head because this shit was like, I thought it was a psychokinetic, like more of like not sci-fi, but more of like
Paranormal
activity.
supernatural.
Yeah. I thought it was more along those lines, and then it kind of turned and flipped that shit on its head late in the movie. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a head scratcher because I was like, is this a demon? Is it, a ghost? What are we dabbling with? And
Which now that I'm like dug into this more, I'm like, oh, this is James Wan. I'm like, okay, he likes to like kind of flip shit around, and he also likes to kind of have some pretty good twists. Which there was definitely a good twist at this one.
Oh god, yeah. So be warned, if you have not seen this movie, don't listen to this podcast and then go watch it.
Yeah.
It's gonna ruin it for you. You gotta see the movie first because otherwise, if it gets spoiled, I mean that's on you. But don't do it.
We assume no responsibility now that you've been warned.
Yeah.
So, entry in 1993, Dr. Florence Weaver and her colleagues, Victor Fields and John Gregory, are treating a disturbed, violent patient named Gabriel at a research hospital who he has the ability to control electricity and broadcast his voice through like
radio
waves,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So there's a situation that happens, and Gabriel kills several staff members. They determine that this case is a lost cause and that the, quote, cancer must be removed.
Yes, that will come back.
So that's kind of where we start with this idea of, there's this patient, there's some sort of... I always feel like with a research hospital, I'm like, we all know there's some shady biz going down.
And like they kind of show like a half-second glimpse of the character, and it's like kind of looked like it had creature arms. So like you're like, ooh, is this like a fucked up creature? Like, what are we going to be dealing with here?
Exactly.
So it was very cool. Kept me intrigued.
Yep. So we fast forward to it's like 27 years later. Our main character, Madison, which they call her Maddie through the whole film, she's pregnant and living in Seattle. That's where this whole movie takes place. So she returns home to her piece of shit, abusive husband, Derek. Fucking
guy.
Derek.
Fuck Derek.
I feel like his name should be Brad.
Right?
Or Chad.
Or Chaz.
Yeah, Chaz. Yeah. Yeah.
Some stupid white guy name.
Or David.
Yeah. Fuck them, man.
Fucking guys. Can't do that with Ryan. Like, that's such a weird fucking name. Like, I win. Anyway, so Derek, fucking Derek. So she goes home to Derek, and they get in an argument about her multiple previous miscarriages. What a dick.
I mean,
What the fuck is wrong with you?
right? Like, come on now, dude. Like, really? Like,
I think he even said, like, I can't watch you kill another one of our babies or some shit. I'm like, this guy is a scumbag.
yeah, fuck him for sure.
So he decides that he's gonna get in an argument with her, and he smashes her head against a wall, drawing blood. And then he's, of course, is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me go get you an ice pack."
Let me get you an ice pack for that.
This fucking guy, like,
Yeah.
beating up women, is carrying your kid. Okay, and then so he goes to get the ice bag, and she locks him out of the bedroom, and she has this nightmare of a person entering their house and killing Derek. And so we kind of get an idea of like, okay, there's a nightmare. She's seeing things. To your point, supernatural.
Yeah, it was like crawling on walls kind of thing.
Yeah. It was like really strange. Like it's like a dark void. It kind of reminded me of a person wearing like a shadow, like a ghost face costume, but like climbing up on the ceiling and shit.
Exactly.
So we see this happen, and there's a pretty horrific kill where it basically turns Derek's head around.
It was like sideways.
Yeah, like, pretty grotesque, like pretty cool body horror, which was awesome. But to everyone's horror, and especially Madison's, the killer attacks her shortly after seeing Derek's corpse and knocks her unconscious.
Yep, goes through a door that she's hiding behind and just knocks her out.
And so that's kind of where we're like, oh, okay, what's going on? Well, she wakes up in a hospital and is informed by her sister Sydney that her unborn baby didn't survive the attack.
Right. Ooh, that was heart-wrenching.
Right. So douche Derek, now he's dead, thank God.
Yeah.
So now she gets interviewed by these police detectives, Detective Shaw and Detective Moss.
And she's basically like in a coma-like state, like, which I don't blame her at all.
Right.
Like, this is like the third kid that she's lost, and this one because of him. So, yeah, she's just in shock, not talking to anybody, just staring out the window.
Yep. So she returns home, which I don't know if I could go home after my piece of shit husband was killed and then I was attacked. But she goes home.
Yeah.
And I think you made the point where you're looking at this house. It's like a gothic looking house. And David looked at it and he's like, well, of course, that house is fucking haunted.
Right?
Like,
it has to be.
Right, this thing looks like a haunted house. Exactly. So she goes home, and Madison, is like you said, kind of out of it, and she reveals to Sydney that she was adopted when she was 8 and has no memories of her prior life.
To that. Yeah, and you're like, okay, that's one little tidbit you need to keep in mind while watching this film.
Exactly. So that's kind of where we kind of start that first part of the film, where you kind of get a little background into like the experiments that were going on. Now we find out that she's adopted. Her husband is dead. He was a douche. She's miscarried. Like, a lot of traumatic things have happened to her, like in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, or shorter. Something. But yeah, I remember I was like, okay, she's adopted, and then we're like, oh, bouncing it off each other. We're like, oh, maybe she was getting experimented on in the beginning or something.
Yep. Like, so we went there, and but still, it's like, then you saw like, it's like creature, supernatural. Like, is it a demon? Like, whenever I see stuff like crawling on the walls, I always think like, it's more supernatural or a creature.
Exactly.
But so I wasn't really, but it's kind of also like a thriller also too, because you got the police involved. Now they're investigating. Like, so it's we're still kind of building the story out to this point.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so Madison goes home. She's adopted, and so meanwhile we see the killer attacking another woman who is running this Seattle Underground tour. And so Madison continues to like bleed at the back of her head. It kind of shows her, she's still having some
when
headaches.
she wakes up and she's bleeding all over the pillow.
Yeah. So and then she's also experiencing more visions. So she has this other vision where she watches Dr. Weaver, who from the beginning of the film was doing the experiments in this hospital.
Yep.
She gets brutally bludgeoned by the killer using this
trophy.
Trophy?
It was a trophy. Yeah.
Okay. From her contributions to the medical society for probably like fucking experimenting on little
on
kids.
children.
Exactly. Yes. Let's give you a trophy and a raise.
But the trophy was pretty badass. Like it had a huge sharp dagger almost to it. So the killer obviously fashions it into a dagger shortly after that.
It looked like the fucking energy sword from Halo.
Yeah, it did.
Remember that thing? Yeah. This giant like fucking tusk thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like.
Anyway, so she sees another vision. So like this whole time, this is very supernatural with like the seeing visions, but the visions turn out to be actually things that are happening.
Yeah.
So basically, they go to. Is this the part where she's like, "Hey, I saw this happen," and goes to the cops and tell them?
Yeah, because she tells her sister, and her sister's like, "Oh shit!" Like,
We should talk to the cops.
Yeah, we should probably talk to the cops. But then I think
I thought it was the second one.
The second one,
The
yeah,
guy.
because when they see it starting to happen, it's just like, oh shit, I need to go tell some people about this.
Yep. So during their investigation, Shaw and Moss, the two detectives, discover a photo of Madison as a child in Weaver's house. And they learn that Weaver specialized in like reconstructive surgery. So Madison and Sydney approached the police, and after the first vision of for Dr. Fields, there was another vision she had. Remember where the guy, Dr. Fields, was killed.
Yeah.
So that's when they approached the cops, and they're like, "I had this vision of this other cop." Or the other doctor being murdered. You need to go check it out. And they don't want to believe her at first.
Yeah, and then that's when like we were also like, is it still supernatural? Because like the window was open, and that's how the killer got in, because there was water tracked into his like little closet or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, it wouldn't be supernatural. They wouldn't have to open the window.
Right.
Like, so it's like,
so this is like a being of some sort.
Yeah, it's an obviously like physical person.
Right. And so that's at the point where remember the killer calls Madison at that point.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, okay, so this is obviously a ghost or a demon.
Yeah, because she was with the police when he called.
Yeah,
right?
and revealed himself to be Gabriel.
Yeah.
From the beginning. And so we're like, all right, I'm still trying to put together the fucking pieces of this mystery here at this point. So at that point, they're like, Madison and Sydney visit their mother, which we know is Madison's adopted mother.
Yeah.
And we learn that Gabriel was an imaginary friend that Madison spoke with during her childhood, but may also be someone that she knew before her adoption. They don't know a lot of details about it, right? Basically.
Right, yeah.
And they show her some tapes.
Some old VHS tapes.
That they had from like her birthday where she's talking to Gabriel.
Yeah, and there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. And then they basically made it to be like the kind of like Gabriel is telling her, because remember her mom was pregnant with Sydney at the time.
Oh,
the videos,
yeah.
And basically it was Gabriel was telling her that the mother won't love you once Sydney's born.
Sydney's around,
you should kill the baby, and like having all this like fucked up shit.
Yeah, and she's having like these conversations with Gabriel like on a children's telephone toy, like around Christmas they were showing that. And then is that what the part where like they show her materializing like in front of the pregnant mother?
Yes,
yeah, where he's like, cut a piece of cake out for yourself. So she's holding a knife, and then reality sets in, and she's standing in front of the pregnant mom with the knife, sleeping.
Yeah, while the pregnant mom's sleeping.
Like,
exactly.
how horrifying would that be to wake up to?
Exactly. So we're seeing a lot of pieces right now of this that are starting to put themselves together, and I still couldn't.
No, we were still
together,
trying to figure it out at that point.
Right. So they later on, the detectives find a link between the doctors and Maddie, which was hidden in Dr. Weaver's journals, leading them to discover the murder of Dr. Gregory. So they find Dr. Gregory's been also killed as well. So they enlist this, it was like a hypnotherapist, right? Remember they had the hypnotherapist person come in?
Well, is that the one where but the cop got there in time to see the guy?
To unlock her memories.
Yeah.
Because remember, that woman got abducted from the Seattle
tours.
Underground, right?
Yeah.
The tour guide. So like she got abducted, and they showed her with the
In an
killer
attic.
in like an attic tied up.
Yep.
These other murders continue to happen, visions. They bring in this hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
And they bring it over to Maddie's house. And so they trying to unlock her like suppressed memories from like before she got abducted or before she got adopted. Mm-hmm. So Madison recalls that her birth name is actually Emily May, and that Gabriel almost led her to kill Sydney when she was in the womb. So like we found that whole little tidbit out. So after Sydney was born, Madison forgot about Gabriel
completely.
Exactly. And then when she got hit on the head, she started having some of those memories.
Yeah,
like
it unlocked those memories. But what was the part where the cop was chasing Gabriel? Because I thought it was at that third murder. Like, he goes and chases after him, and that's where you're like, is that motherfucker backwards? Like,
yes, we're watching the running, and it looks like a person who has their head turned around. Like the body's running forward or backwards.
Yeah,
but it looked really weird. And so I was like, something is weird there, and chased Gabriel all the way through like the Seattle Underground.
Yep,
and like.
Yeah, because he chased him down the road, shooting at him, and he kept catching up to him, and then he knocked him down and like he got his gun shot at Gabriel a few more times, and it snuck out through a ceiling, like crawling up like a spider up a corner of a room and dipped out.
And eventually gets away.
Yeah.
Right. So then they bring in the
hypnotherapist. Yeah.
And they do this whole, like, her name's Emily May, and Gabriel almost led her to kill her in the womb. And after Sydney was born, she forgets about him. And then while this is going on, the kidnapped woman from the Seattle Underground escapes.
Yep. From the
attic, and she's walking around, and she falls through the ceiling, like the attic ceiling, into fucking Madison's living room.
Right in front of everybody and the cops and everything. All sitting there.
Yeah, so we reveal that Gabriel was secretly living in her own fucking house
the whole time.
In the attic. So now the cops believe Madison to be the culprit behind the murders. The police arrest her, while the woman who was kidnapped is revealed to be
her actual mom.
Her biological mother, Serena May. They take her to a hospital.
Yeah, and then the the sister, like, she goes out to the place, which is still there. Everything's like it's all in the basement and everything.
Yeah, from the beginning.
And what I loved about it is when she was looking at the directory, and it's like records basement, and you and I are both like, of course. And then she's like, of course.
Yeah, like, of course, creepy old abandoned hospital. And when she's driving up to it, it's in Seattle, so you got all the cliffs by the ocean, right? And it's like this giant gothic old decrepit hospital, like on a point, right on the water,
right on there.
Waves are crashing in, and I'm like, of fucking course this is.
And that's when she pulled up all the way as close as she could get to the cliff, and it was like, what are you doing?
Like, this bitch, like, when you're like, it's like going camping, like, let me pull my little Prius right up to the damn edge
of the cliff. That was silly.
So there's like a lot to unpack right now so far. So this is at the point where, like, the film, I think, starts to change into something completely not what different. I fucking expected.
Yeah.
So far we've gotten this idea of, like, we have the experiments. Mm-hmm. We know she's adopted. We know that there was, like, this imaginary friend.
Like, is it imaginary though? Is it manifested from her imagination?
So we're trying, and we've obviously, like, if you want to go like the demon route or the spirit or whatever, this other cop has also chased this thing on foot.
Yeah.
So, like, this thing exists.
Yeah, it's real.
To your point with the footprints, like opening windows, like something exists. So, like, now, like, is this, a long lost brother or whatever?
Yeah.
Or like something's going on here. So now this is where the film really fucking flips on his head, because
the sister finds the VHS tapes.
Correct.
And watches them. And that this was the point where you're like, pause the fucking movie.
Right. I was like, pause this shit. We have to fucking unpack all of this.
Yeah.
So she gets the tape and they watch it. And we find out that Emily, a.k.a. Madison, was treated. And we find out that Gabriel is Emily's parasitic twin brother.
Yeah.
That's living, like, on her back.
Yeah, they're like conjoined. Pretty much, but it's like not in a regular way.
Yeah, it's like Voldemort from Harry Potter when he's like on the back of his
that
head.
Dude's head.
Yes,
yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Just like that. So he's got these little, like, fucking T-Rex arms, and he's like,
grab my strong arm.
Yeah, my strong hand, child. And so it's like, this parasitic twin who appears to be like this half-formed child.
Oh, it was
on her back.
Creepy when they did that pan of the front of her head to the back, and they were showing it. It was like, oh my god! It's like one of those Halloween, like, Dollar Tree skeletons you find.
Right. So basically, Gabriel is like the fucking evil twin basically
from her.
So they decide that they needed to operate because he's starting to, like, take over her
brain and stuff. Yeah.
So they operate on Emily or Maddie, and they remove Gabriel's body except for the part of the brain
that was still attached.
And they even said we removed as much as we could, and then we shoved the rest back inside and, like, sealed up the brain.
Sealed it up. It was like, all right.
What the fuck? Like, so basically, like, she's got, like, half of another dude's brain in her brain.
Yeah. But then that goes back to the beginning where it was like, we're going to cut the cancer out. It was like, that's what she meant by that shit.
Exactly.
That's when they decided to cut out as much of him as they possibly could.
Exactly could. So he remained dormant for a long time until, ding, 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 douchebag Derek.
Dipshit Derek.
hit her in the head and basically unlocked everything, and all this stuff started. Gabriel was actually able to take control and operate Madison's body backwards,
right?
Which is why it looked so fucking weird when she ran,
because it was running backwards.
It was her, yes,
because that was the reveal. Because while she's sitting in the little pokey, the clink with all those other girls, like they start picking on her, pushing her on the ground, kicking her, and then like that's when it like all hell breaks loose. Like she pulls her hair back and like rips open her head, and here comes Gabriel's weird brain like, tumory looking
baby
face like pops out. And then it does that creepy horror movie stuff they do now, where it's
bones start cracking,
like all like CGI, but it looks cool as fuck. And it was like, oh shit! So he completely takes her over at that point, and that's when it turned into a John Wick movie.
Yeah, it completely changed. We're like, oh, this is like extreme body horror.
Yeah,
and it made sense about the running backwards, and this basically Madison/Gabriel turned into fucking John Wick. And she basically murders everyone in this holding cell.
Everybody in the holding cell,
and then bursts out of the fucking cell and murders like 40 cops.
It had to have been like, it was more than Terminator, the first one. How many cops got
cops
killed?
Are bad shots too. They're like unloading shotguns.
Well, she's doing all these flips and table somersaults and shit.
Nobody can nick her. Like,
apparently not. But I mean, these were some awesome kills. Like, obviously Gabriel has been getting some ninjutsu classes or some shit. Like, that motherfucker knew how to fight.
Shit was crazy though. So like, and then Detective Cacao comes in, and like he gets knocked out, and long story short, eventually Gabriel/Maddie like leave and head to the hospital because they think she's headed towards, she's got to make her mom pay, right?
Yeah, but let's not gloss over that part where how she leaves. Remember, she takes that chair and just chucks it across the room and bullseyes the two detectives.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
With the chair, and then just leaves.
It was like a WWE scene.
Yeah, like just picks up a chair, chucks it across the room, bam.
There was a lot to unpack with that, just like going through. I mean, like there was a lot of like,
oh yeah,
the deaths were pretty crazy too.
Yeah, there was a lot of it, and not just like, oh, stab, you're dead.
No, it was like a lot of bones breaking and like snapping necks.
Like it was like John Wick, man, except with a knife instead of a gun.
It was crazy. So so she leaves to go to the hospital where Serena is recovering, the birth mother. Mm-hmm. And so Sydney and Detective Shaw intercept, but they're attacked by Gabriel. You know, Sydney tells Maddie that Gabriel has been the one that's been causing her miscarriages because he was feeding off of the fetuses to gain strength.
Wow, that's crazy to think about.
Like it's like subconsciously he was like absorbing them to like maintain his relevancy. Otherwise, like that shit's terrifying to think about.
It's like that stem cell episode of South Park. That's what it reminded me of.
That's funny. I haven't seen that show in a long time. That episode. I haven't thought about
Shakey's
that.
Pizza.
Yeah. So now we've got this last scene of the movie where it's like this showdown in the hospital room. So Gabriel is attempting to kill Sydney for replacing him because he felt like since she was born, there was no need for him because she had a sister, right? So as Gabriel, looks to try to kill Sydney, Madison wakes up and is able to take back control of her body. So basically, it shows like this black like mindscape where Madison like subconsciously locks Gabriel like in a prison
cell,
like, in her own mind. So essentially, it's this idea that she's been too weak to control it, to like resist him controlling her for his own like sadistic pleasures. And so now she's like, you know what, fuck this, like this is my brain, and I'm gonna control you,
controlling you,
So she locks him up, and of course he's like, no, you'll never be able to control me, blah blah blah.
You haven't seen the last of me,
right? Like one day I'll escape, and you'll be fucked. So his influence is gone, and then Madison is able to somehow fucking like Hulk lift this hospital bed off of her Sydney pinned to the floor. She also
took like 2 in the chest when she was Gabriel.
So she gets shot twice. Dude, those hospital beds are fucking heavy.
Hell yeah, they are. And she managed to do it. And she also remember he tricked her into thinking that she killed her sister and then her mother, but then it was actually like an hallucination. She didn't actually kill them yet.
Yeah, when she controlled Gabriel, she made him believe that he had.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
yeah, because like he was like, I killed birth mom and I killed Sydney, but then she was like, nah, you didn't. I've been controlling you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like turned it around on him, which I thought was a kind of a cool twist.
No, that's probably the only real way you could do it without just killing her straight up, the character.
Right. Yep. So she lifts off the hospital bed off of her sister, and they kind of share this whole like. In the beginning of remember Madison was like, I've always wanted like a connection with a blood relative.
A blood relative, yeah.
So she's like, I don't need that. Like, you've always been my blood relative. Like, kind of a nice ending.
Aww.
Yeah. So they embrace, and Serena, the birth mom, looks on happily. But then you see the light bulb
In the corner of the room flicker.
and you hear the humming of the electricity kind of.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. So like Gabriel's still there, and that's kind of how the movie finishes up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't even know what to say about this
Like,
movie.
all I know is, like, that woman is fucked, like, for real in life now. After that, like, who's going to answer for all those dead police officers, you know?
Yeah, I don't know how you prosecute that. It's like someone's controlling her body. She did, like, so it wasn't really her. But I feel like, to your point, yeah, like, you killed, like, the inmates.
Whatever.
They're probably going to be okay with that.
With the Foxy Brown and then the Dyke and...
Yeah, it was like Foxy Cleopatra from remember Beyonce was on
Austin Powers,
the gold member. Yeah, that's what she looked like. So like they probably don't care too much about all the inmates that were like decimated.
No,
but then,
probably
yeah,
not.
someone's gonna have to answer for the entire police precinct that you murdered. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's maybe a plot hole that
they just don't care about.
We aren't meant to know to understand.
That usually is the case with horror movies. Like, somebody's got to be responsible for something, but
that's like found. I'm gonna fucking totally go off the reservation here.
Yeah,
it's like found footage genre. My biggest problem is like, this is found footage. Like, hey, we found this terrible thing that happened, and we're gonna watch and see what happens. How the fuck do we have the record? Like,
right. Where did it come from?
And who edited this?
Yeah, somebody did a pretty damn good job editing it.
Somebody found this terrible scene of murder and mayhem, and then handed it to fucking Henry. And was like, hey, produce this for me. And then like whatever. Anyway, fuck found footage. I hate it.
I do too.
Anyway, so this movie was like,
this movie was wild as fuck. Let's not beat around the bush.
That's true. 100%. I agree with that. So like, let's go to our ratings. Let's see how we rated this one. I didn't know what to expect going into it.
I sure as fuck didn't.
So like, I think I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
6?
It has rewatchability written all over it because it was fun.
Yeah.
Like when she ripped her head open and fucking Demon Baby
and
pops
boy
out of
came
the
out,
head, and I was like, we were both like, oh shit, oh damn, and she's like, and it's just like murder. Like,
yeah.
It was fun. I was like, not what I expected. So like, I'll give James Wan, like I said, is known for doing some off the wall shit. So like it makes a whole lot of sense knowing like his previous work and future work.
They're like, okay, this movie looks like it was done.
It's batshit crazy, and it was kind of a fun ride. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's definitely worth a watch for like a Netflix stream.
Yeah. I'll give it a 6.5. It was a great movie. Like, I'll disagree with you on the rewatchability part only because like
you know the twist.
You already know the twist, and that was like the biggest part for me was that twist. Like, that's what made the movie. Obviously, the next 20 minutes of like kung fu killing cops was amazing, and that's the rewatchability part. Yeah, but like, man, that twist was just awesome. Good. It was great
because we looked at each other. We were like, "That's why she looks so fucked up."
Yeah, like all the things were like because we went back to like the one guy who gets killed, the second dude. Like, she's standing above him in his bed, stabbing the shit out of him, and I remember looking at his knee, and I was like, "That knee looks like it's backwards." And then when you said something about seeing him run backwards, I was like, "Well, I noticed that too." And so like it was almost like they left a lot of breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
But not enough for anybody to guess what was going on.
Which
Unless
is
like you're a super sleuth or some shit.
Right, which is, I guess, well done. I'll give him credit. Maybe the rewatchability would be like, I would want to watch it with someone who hasn't seen it so I could see their reaction.
That's true, yeah.
Like, I know what's going to happen. And
like, oh, it's going to blow your mind, man.
So, like, maybe it's kind of like a fucking Sixth Sense. Like, once you know,
you're
like, I can't, like,
I
hit the same.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way this movie hits the same if you already know what's going on with it before you actually see it. So
some fun trivia that I found on this one. The Seattle Underground is actually a real tour. It's open to the public. You can actually go on the Seattle Underground tour where that woman was abducted from by the killer.
Yeah,
so that was kind of cool. Some people that were big fans of this movie, Nicolas Cage. Said he was a huge fan, and he called it an inspiration and one of his favorite horror movies of the year.
Nice.
Stephen King also was a huge fan and came out and said that he really liked this one.
All right.
And the one scene, so the scenes where Gabriel is seen walking or running were not made using CGI. After Gabriel is played in disguise by a Ukrainian actress, a professional dancer and contortionist.
Ugh, okay.
So she's actually running fucking back, like doing that shit in real time. It's not CGI.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
I was like, well, damn, like getting some like Cirque du Soleil chick in there, and she's fucking crushing it as this like backwards runner,
like backwards killing machine.
So yeah, so this was an interesting one not that we had planned necessarily to do an episode on, but I thought it was kind of fun. And like I said, go out there and check it out. That's Malignant, directed by James Wan. Check it out on Netflix.
Yep, that's what we watched it on.
And so yeah, so thanks for listening. And you want to go ahead and drop our social media on there. You can find us on Instagram at Sinister Scripts, TikTok at Sinister Scripts Podcast. You can also find our episodes on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I'm missing one. YouTube Music.
Yeah.
Yep. So you can find all of our episodes on there. Give them a listen, drop us a comment, follow us on TikTok. We're active. We love to interact with our fans. So if you want a movie that you want us to watch and review,
please do.
Yeah, we love to interact with you guys and get a list of stuff maybe we haven't seen before. Because
I would love that. Yeah,
there's so much content out there.
Like good old recommendation from somebody from something you've never heard of. That's what we're looking for.
Exactly. So thanks for listening, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day. Be on the lookout for more content and more episodes. We'll post as soon as we have new episodes that drop. We'll post one out there and go out there and give it a listen.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Talk to y'all later. Bye.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.